Hey everyone. Today we're going to look at how to approach the very challenging Marichyasana postures of Ashtanga. These are postures that involve a few things: a squat, a bind to fold forward, or a bind to twist, and sometimes they involve a lotus. But I'll show you some ways you can approach it that don't involve lotus, as well as techniques that you can do to keep yourself strong and safe if you have asymmetries in your body like scoliosis or a longer leg. This is called Marichyasana B, the second one we usually see. The right leg is squatting. The foot is about near the sit bone, so you could say my feet are hip width, even though my left foot is in lotus. And that approximates the idea of doing a proper squat like Malasana. Waiting for the bus, your feet are hip width, you're letting your knees go over your toes instead of having your shins vertical. A real squat, a real life squat. You could put weight on that squat, you could lift something heavy, it would work very well for you. Marichyasana A, same idea. The legs are hip width, since it's also a forward fold where that right arm's going to come forward, 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 and wrap around the shin. Now, where people have trouble with this pose, if the hamstrings are a little bit tight, they tend to get stuck here, and they feel like their shoulders are not open enough, but actually, it's most often that they need to raise the pelvis on a blanket or a yoga block. It's only like an inch or two of height, but that's going to make a world of difference in getting the pubic bone to drop so the belly can lengthen, heart can open. That's what you need. Instead of parallel shin, as is often taught, we're actually squatting, allowing the knee to go over the toes. And we wrap around the shin. I'm going to catch that left hand with my left buttock on the floor. My right sit bone is up since I'm still squatting. Inhale, lift the heart. This is a perfect place to be. Try to open your chest. Phase 2, start to fold on the exhale in a couple options. You could look towards your big toe, which is encouraging more axial extension, lengthening out through the crown of the head. Option 2 is bringing the head down, rounding the spine. A lot of people will teach relaxing the shoulders. I'm a big believer in trying to pull your hands apart, abducting the shoulders. So it's like you're trying to do this. Ooh. And then it awakens all these muscles that stabilize your shoulder, just like you do in Chaturanga and all these fancy arm balances. Marichyasana B, you can use a blanket. Instead of doing lotus, tuck your foot to the floor. Or better yet, sit on your heels so there's less props to grab. Same idea, that's going to create that dropping of the pubic bone, forward tilt of the pelvis. Now, my arm can clear the shin, and I can catch the left hand. And that's really key. So we're able to open the heart up as we enter the pose, as opposed to rounding the whole spine and getting stuck and trying to force something. If we treat Marichyasana B as a half lotus variation, you take the foot to half lotus first, then you lean off to the side of that lotus leg and squat. Boom, boom, knee out. Gonna reach that arm forward, exhale, wrap the arm, catch the opposite hand, so catching left hand or wrist. Inhale, head up. We could stay here, or exhale to fold. Marichyasana C, very similar to A. So the same problems happen around the pelvis. We need to support the pelvis, creating a forward tilt, unless you're super flexible, in which case your thigh bone can just hug right back into the hip socket and you're wide open. Using the blanket, raising the pelvis, that's going to help us get that anterior tilt to hug the thigh bone back. We need to bring the foot into the midline for the twist. Lean back and allow that knee to come across center. Exhale, twist. That's where we come forward, forward, forward. I'm reaching my arm that way. Once my upper arm bone clears the leg, then we can turn in, catching, holding the pocket, and then holding the opposite hand. Let's see it on the other side. Good to balance it out, right? So right leg straight, left leg squatting. And I won't use the blanket this time. I'm going to bring those legs nice and close. Look how I get in there. Instead of leaning back and trying to bind from here, I'm going to allow my knee to come forward, forward, forward. And I'm going to squat, lifting the buttock of that squatting leg. And then I wrap, reach for the pocket, and then we sit back onto the straight leg buttock. Left arm comes around, full bind. And we're in the posture. It's perfect. Nothing needs to change. If I want to refine it, I can press my squatting leg out, abducting the hip. That's going to fire up the glutes. You'll notice my straight leg looks turned out. That's because my whole pelvis is turned out as well. So it's actually in a neutral position, even though it looks turned out. A lot of teachers will tell you to turn the leg so it looks neutral, and they'll also get you to bring your sit bone to the ground like that, into a posterior tilt. And that's totally fine to do it that way. I just want to present a different way of approaching it that works for me and anyone I've taught who has asymmetries where one leg is longer, their hip is raised on one side, or maybe they have a scoliosis. But I'm advocating for this approach because it tends to work for more people, and many of us do have asymmetries in the body that can cause pain around our yoga practice and everyday life activities. So why not teach it in a way that addresses those asymmetries? Lastly, Marichyasana D. Instead of doing a half lotus with the left foot, which is a totally great way to do the pose, let's approach it just like Marichy B. We're going to sit on that left heel. That's going to create that forward tilt of the pelvis to make the pose much more accessible. And then since we're twisting, rather than being hip width like Marichy B and A, we're going to walk that foot in, knee across the midline. Exhale, come forward, forward, forward into your squat, and then turn the shoulder in. Half bind or circle to full bind. And breathe. This is a great way to approach Marichy D if you're not doing lotus, or if you struggle with any binds at all. To turn on the pose, once you're in the bind, abduct your hips. So the squatting leg is going to press out into the upper arm bone. The lotus knee is also going to press out. Ooh. And it's going to feel a lot more like doing it in half lotus now. This also trains your body for the very challenging pose, Marichyasana, one of the first poses, the first pose in the second series, which I can no longer do on a good day, but not at least with a little bit of help. So I hope you found this tutorial really useful. I know that these techniques have really saved my practice and allowed me to get many people into Marichyasana who couldn't otherwise do it. Quick review. Use a blanket to cultivate a forward tilt in your pelvis. For A and B, the legs are hip width. For C and D, they're twists, so we bring it into the midline. And then you really work into your squat so your upper arm bone can clear the shin. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great practice. Please try this out. Let me know in the comments below how that works out for you. And if there's other postures you would like tutorials on, please send me your questions below. I'd love to make some more videos to help you work through some of those obstacles that come up for us in yoga. Thanks so much, everyone. Peace.